dangerous. It's really hard to, like, easily swap between them without just logging in on either, so we're just gonna be careful. Okay.
There we go. Okay. I like to have it up so I can see the chat easily, but then I have to really quickly mute it, otherwise echo hell.
Yes. Okay. I'm also going to give you a back stream, because I have fancy ways to do that now. You caught one of the weeks where I'm not in a hotel room, so I have all my gadgets and gizmos. Okay. Dovecote.
Why won't Blue Sky let me just go to home? Oh. Oh, why am I signed out of Blue Sky? That's weird.
Oh. Getting that post going. I don't even know if I should keep bothering putting things on Twitter. It feels like they just don't... Like, no one interacts with them.
I have not been touching it because I had the same experience where I felt like it does not matter.
Yeah. Actually, can you say something really quick?
Yes.
Hello, everybody. It is February 17th, 7:01 p.m. EST, and you are watching the Dovecote episode 58 with Ira Prince. Ira, you've been on the show before, but please introduce yourself again.
I have, and I'm happy to be back. My name is Ira Prince Valls. I'm an illustrator, narrative artist, and tabletop dev, and I make gay things. And I like stories.
Hell yeah. If you haven't heard, I'm still sick, but you're really cool. I like working with you on things, and also
I also like working with you.
Yeah, we're both in You Are Beheld, which is really neat. Yeah. So when I was like, hey, because we schedule these episodes way in advance, and I was like, hey, it's like a week until our scheduled episode. Are you still down? You were like, or actually, do you want to basically just tell them what you told me?
Yeah, so since we schedule these so far in advance, I don't remember when we first talked about the February date, but I was like, February, I'll have new work done by February. That's so far away. I make things. I'll have some things made. I'll have progress on the things that are on the docket. And there's none. But then the thing is, I've had this anxiety before when I've gone on like podcasts or had interviews, and I've come away from it going, God damn it, I wish I had more to talk about. You know, I wish I had more published games. I wish I had done more shit. And my wife said to me once when I was talking to him about this, he said, okay, but like the fact that sometimes artists don't have the energy to make art is also a legitimate topic.
Hmm.
And I said, wow, my beautiful baby, your brain is so big and huge and enormous, which it is. And so that's what I told Eclipse also, is that I'm down to talk about having nothing done, because that's the reality a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's like, what if someone talked about that on a podcast?
What if I made a podcast about never doing anything?
Yeah. Um,
That's not even true. I don't never do anything. See, that's the brain worms.
yeah, yeah, it'll really get to you. Um, I guess with that in mind, like, do you have any methods for like coping with coping with not having done things? Like, how do you process that? How do you deal with that?
I have way more coping mechanisms than I used to, I'm happy to say, because it used to fuck me up so bad. I used to be so super hard on myself. And frankly, I think that I still am. But honestly, kind of the most useful thing was, and this was with the help of my therapist. I had a big therapy assist on this. Um, but kind of looking objectively at all of it and going, okay, the banging my head against the wall and chaining myself to the desk and being really mean to myself about it is not working. It doesn't work, dog. Like, and so kind of having to accept that. I think I saw a post once that phrased it as like, hey, if being hard on yourself was going to work, then it would have worked by now.
Hmm.
That's something that I return to a lot. And also objectively the fact that what has worked has been being nice to myself, and what has worked has been, as frustrating as it sometimes is, like, stop trying, go do something else, read other games, watch a bunch of shit. um I've been watching a bunch of Sex in the City, actually, which is really really bad.
Oh hell yeah.
um Work on other projects, like I have been able to, you got to find, oh, that's what it is, you have to find kind of the wellspring of
Mm.
what you do feel like doing, which for me has been returning to quests, interactive fiction, which has been my background for a really long time and is probably the thing that I've done on the internet for the longest. Um, and so while it's been really frustrating for me that standalone illustration work has been moving really slowly for me, and tabletop work that I've been wanting to do for a while has been moving really slowly for me. Um, Finding the personal shit that I can do has been nice, because then it's kind of that confirmation of, okay, I found something that gets the gears turning.
Hmm.
Um, because you can't force it, and so you have to go around.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I I'm trying to think of a version of this that isn't really dark, because the thing that you said about like your therapist telling you like if it doesn't seem like it's working, not to do it. So I work in I'm training to be like a social worker in CPS, and uh I've heard basically the exact same thing about like child punishment, like you know uh when he misbehaves, I do X, Y, and Z. Is it working? Like
Yeah,
he keeps engaging in that behavior. Is it working? Um, and I feel like sometimes you have to treat yourself in that way. You have to like understand that that like your behaviors are like real indicators of what you need. Um,
that's actually, yeah, that's exactly a framing my therapist has used too, is because one time she asked me, okay, if like a little kid version of Ira
mhm.
came up to you and was like, I can't draw. I don't know why, but I can't draw. Would I sit there and be like, well, idiot, you're not trying hard enough. Go back to your desk. Like, like what you would do if it was a kid is you'd sit down and be like, okay, well, what's not, do you need something to draw? Do we have paper? Do
Mhm.
we have pencils? What do you want to do? Do you want to, and like working through it with that much patience is usually not what we afford ourselves, I think.
Yeah, like we don't necessarily, even provide ourselves the same amount of patience, as you're saying, like we don't provide ourselves the same amount of patience that we would provide a child, um, which is rough. I still need to read Necrotech. Could you tell the audience about Necrotech, because it's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, so Necrotech is I think the broadest way to explain it that would get instant understanding is an interactive webcomic.
Hmm.
When you click that link, dear watchers, I know it looks like 4chan. I'm sorry, it's not 4chan. Um, but it's basically quests are interactive stories that are told in kind of a forum thread format where the author creates a scenario and you have illustrated panels and stuff. And then after each update, readers leave comments to guide the story and to decide what happens next. And a lot of times these are kind of like a lot of the really old ones were like from the escape room perspective, or a lot of them are, well, they are very much tabletop games because I know I just said it wasn't 4chan, but you got to hold with me here.
Hmm.
It was originally a split off of the TG board on 4chan, which is traditional games. And so it was TG Chan, and now it's Quest End because sometime a couple years ago, a bunch of us were like, we don't want to be called a Chan board anymore,
Hmm.
and we finally did the big chop. But it is a really fun, really low pressure art medium and format that I absolutely love and that I've been doing for a really, really long time. And that has actually pulled me out of crazy art block for a long time because, or multiple times before, because there was another one that I did and that I eventually moved on from, but it was called Trashy Vampire Romance Novel. And that was one that I did before I had gone full time with art. When I was at a point where I had given up on art as a career. I was like, it's just not going to happen. Let's be realistic. Let's put our noses down and not worry about it anymore. Which also means I don't care about making anything good anymore. So I'm just going to make like corny vampire porn and not worry about if it's good. And it turns out when you do that, the thing becomes really good. Necrotech is very much the spiritual successor of Turn, not only because that's Turn is Trashy Vampire Romance Novel. It's when it's all the V becomes a U when it's an acronym. Very much the spiritual successor, not only because I'm body snatching some OCs from the abandoned project, but also because I was like, I just want to make some fun gay shit with that looks cool that I'm not thinking too hard about. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm it's working great for me to be drawing gay shit that I'm not thinking hard about and getting really loose with the panels because like good tight art is not at all necessary for a quest. And also, you know what a thing about it is that I think helps bust art block with quests is the immediate gratification.
Yeah, you immediately get responses.
You immediately get responses. It's like having a webcomic where comments are mandatory. Which is very good for the ego and very good for the lizard brain that wants an immediate dopamine hit. And I don't think it's always bad either to feed the dopamine lizard.
Yeah, sometimes you have to feed the dopamine lizard. I have to be honest, sometimes I do look like before I'll read one of your quests, I will like just look at the pictures because I really like your art. Um, and something that I really enjoy about the Necrotech art is like one, as you said, like it's very like scrappy and sketchy in a really cool way. And also just like how much fun you're clearly having with user interface. It's really cool. I like it a lot.
Having so much fun with the interface. I'm having so much fun crapping it up with stuff.
Mhm.
Very inspired by like how the net is portrayed in Serial Experiments Lane,
Mhm.
where it's very much portrayed as a space. Um, oh, there's another thing that does that Cowboy Bebop does the same thing
Oh.
sometimes with the net with the internet. And it's also like it's very obvious that Necrotech also reaches back to like old internet shit that I feel nostalgic about. But yeah, it's nice to have something where I feel like when I'm making tabletop games, there's also always kind of the underlying feeling of, oh, this is eventually going to be something that I'm going to put up on a shop and it's going to be sold. And I try not to let that influence anything artistic. I try to still be making the game that I want to exist. But there is still a feeling of, even if it's not like, I don't know, changing things artistically for an audience, there's still the feeling of, oh, I want this to be polished. I want it to make sense. Like, I want to make sure that I've put together something that's the best thing that I can make it because it's a finished product. And like with Necrotech, I'm like, baby, I'm cramming these panels out and you get what you get. And sometimes what you get is, well, you know what? I'm not even going to say that. I was about to make a self-deprecating comment about the art sometimes not being where it would be on another project. That's the whole point, and I don't give a shit.
Yeah, they're here for the cool and awesome lines, is my understanding.
They're here for the cool and awesome lines.
Yeah.
And for the, I have to remember the words that I can't say on Twitch. And for the said respectfully, lesbians.
Yes.
And not another word that I really like.
Haha. Yeah, it is. Twitch sucks. I wish you could say shit on Twitch.
I wish you could say my favorite words on Twitch.
Anything on Twitch, but they won't let you. It's sad. They should. I want to say the F slur on Twitch. What was I gonna say? About art things. Doing art.
Doing art.
Continuing to do art. Have you been doing anything that's not art? That's fun.
Oh, let me think about that. See, this is the other problem that I think happens with creatives sometimes, is I think sometimes our job is art and our hobby is also art.
Uh-huh.
And so when you ask, what have you done that's not art, it gets really difficult. My wife and I have been going to the movies a lot more, actually. Which is nice, and it makes me be like, man, we should go to the movies more often because they're right there. And for some reason, like, we don't think to do it except for, so we've seen 2 movies in the past 2 weeks. We saw Conclave, which I loved, which is about cardinals scrapping over the recently vacated papacy. And then we saw The Brutalist, which was a 3.5-hour long, very, very, very beautiful movie that we walked away completely, totally ambivalent on. Because 3.5 hours is a long time for a movie to not be resoundingly good. But it was 3.5 hours of looking at Adrian Brody, which I like to do. What else have I been doing besides watching movies? Watching Sex and the City. Not a good television show.
I don't imagine.
It's, you know what? The thing is that sometimes it's like shockingly so much better than it has any right to be. And then it immediately reminds you that it's hetero TV for hetero people. And also it's so crazy biphobic. Like all of the homophobia in Sex and the City is like kind of your garden variety. Oh, it's that time on TV. Yeah, we'll do a little like homophobia, whatever. The biphobia in Sex and the City is so fucking virulent. It's like unfathomable. It's really bad. What have I been doing that's not Sex and the City? You know what? I think that's part of it is that also sometimes you know what else I've been doing is cooking and eating food.
Hell yeah.
Playing with my cats, smelling perfumes a lot. And we do need those dips. Like, I don't know, sometimes I get a little like like tired of the posts that are like, oh, we're supposed to be eating berries. We weren't supposed to be doing this. We need to eat berries. I'm like, well, we have a little more capacity than berries. But also sometimes I do get reminded, especially in the dead of winter, like, man, we really do need these periods where you don't do anything but like eat and like pet a small domesticated animal and, have sex and look at things that are pretty.
Yeah, we gotta be
You
doing that,
you,
like, advanced hibernation shit.
you gotta be a mammal.
You gotta be a mammal about it. Yeah.
That's the Dovecote takeaway today. Be a mammal about it.
Be a mammal, which is... Oh, speaking of birds, hang on. I was about to say, which is not very fitting for our bird-themed environs, but... Or intro, you're re-entering. Okay, intro, the interview bird is here. Um, again. And no one else is. We've fixed. Everything is normal now.
Wait, those animations are new
Yeah, they
of them
are.
leaving.
Uh,
Last time I was on here, they had to be dragged in by the scruff.
they do actually still need to be dragged in by the scruff. There's still. I'll show a slight peek behind the curtains. There's a version that flies that isn't animated, and there's a version that sits. The animations for them being there, however, are new compared to the last time you were here. Um, there
I
are
love them so much.
there are in fact full animations for each of the birds that I tried my best with because I don't really do animation, but also I do this show for fun. Speaking to the subject we just talked about, fallow periods, be a field and crop rotate about it. So true, Mossy Kid. I agree.
So true.
We gotta enter our crop field era. Um, we gotta be mammals. We gotta make crop fields uh, interchangeably at the same time. Um, hell yeah. I will nonetheless ask, have you been playing any tabletop role-playing games?
Not besides quests.
No.
I've been thinking a lot about playing tabletop games.
Real. Um, I one thing that's interesting about like this conversation is that uh you, I, and the people of Your Beheld recently had a conversation that like relates to me in this, which is that I need to stop working on Sapphic World for a while. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's been an interesting couple of days because I'm realizing how much I like depend on working on that for like uh not depend, but like it's been like a very useful like consistent thing, but also like
Hmm.
putting that energy elsewhere has been good. And I'm excited to see like where that takes me.
Oh, that's something that I was going to bring up. I even talked about this with my collaborator. There's, you know, what has been working for me for getting work on tabletop stuff done is weekly meetings. Because I've been doing
Yeah.
bogus cheesecake in the chat, and I are making a clothing damage, kill each other, sexy about it, 2-person romance nights game. Um, and we've been meeting once a week, even if that meeting is just to like look at each other and be like, "Bro, I don't have anything. I didn't do anything."
Hmm.
Um, although usually, you know, usually we think that the conversation is going to be, "I don't have anything. I didn't do anything." And it turns out like one of us has always done something. One of us has been like, "Well, I rearranged the Google Doc that lists all the things that we're supposed to do that we haven't done, and now it's neater," or something like that.
Right.
And it really has like sometimes we both get stressed out about we originally wanted this game to release on Valentine's Day. It is very much not that's not happening, as you can see. Um, but it's plugging along, and that's the other thing too is reminding yourself little bit at a time. Anyway, that's the thing I forgot to say earlier.
A little bit at a time. That game also sounds sick as hell. That sounds really cool.
I should send you like the raw text that we have of just
Yes,
the rules.
I need to look at this. I feel like another thing for me with like weekly meetings or semi-weekly meetings or whatever other meetings, like me and Lilith have a weekly meeting for our dungeon cleaner game, and
Hmm.
sometimes it's just like how do like sometimes that meeting is just how do we want playtests for this to look, or like hey, we're checking in, have we organized playtests, do we feel like we've done enough playtests, or like I had some ideas for this thing, let's write those things down, or like we're gonna sit together and we're gonna make like we're each gonna draw like one little guy for the art. um and I think that's good. I think it's good to have that sort of thing. I really want that when like I think having some sort of weekly thing is going to be really important when we start doing Sapphic World stuff, because that's going to be
Oh
an
yeah, totally.
undertaking. Um, but Hell yeah. Um, Let me think. Are there any TTRPGs that are coming out in the future that you're excited for?
That's another one where I've been so out of because you know what? The other thing that I haven't been doing, in addition to haven't been working on my tabletop stuff, is
Mhm.
I haven't been on social media like at all. I've been
Oh,
really
God
disconnected
bless.
from my phone, which has been nice on one hand, but also like all my friends are in my phone, and
Right.
so I've also been hermit mode. But it also I was just thinking about this. Earlier today because I was thinking, what else was I thinking? I was talking to my wife about something else. I think I was talking about trying to find out about other bundles, like other
Mhm.
tabletop bundles that happen, like the Queerotica bundle. And I was like, I think, and I said this with great dread, I was like, I think the only thing you can really do is like follow a bunch of people who are in the tabletop space and like keep your eyeballs on your social media feed and like wait to see, because so much of it is so decentralized because of, everything is just little groups of people doing stuff. And like saying those words was so demoralizing to me. I was like, but I don't
Mhm.
want to look at my social media feeds. But unfortunately, we made internet our job, and so sometimes you
Mhm.
have to go in the mines.
I mean, the one good thing is like, if you're friends with me, you'll know about bundles because I'm locked in, and I'll usually tell you about
Hell
them
yeah.
as much as I possibly can. Although I miss some things too because there's just so fucking much of it, and also like the space is so huge. There's like so many different facets of TTRPG.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Everyone is always schmoovin'.
Yeah, a lot of like angles of things that are like even there are some spaces that are like gate kept on some level. For better or worse. So it can be tricky, but we try. Um, so I'm gonna take a weird angle to this because I did not schedule a time for questions in this episode, but we did receive a question. So I think I'm gonna
Oh,
ask that now. Uh,
okay.
so this is from Mossy, um, which is which Guild Wars 2 OC of yours has colonized your brain most thoroughly lately? Love the comics of them, even with no other context.
Which Guild Wars 2 OC of mine has colonized mine most fairly? Okay, that's a really good question.
Hmm.
The thing is, it's always Glinder. Who, for those of you not, let me see if I can find some good Glinder art while I talk about this. Glinder is my
Yeah.
old fucking hag of a Guild Wars main character. My Guild Wars commander, who for the Final Fantasy inclined is like your wall, your warrior of light. Um, and but also, okay, here's the thing: my wife and I make OCs in pairs, and so like all of our characters and their lore and everything are like intertwined. Actually, can I just send my entire fucking Glinder tag
Please
as a
do.
link? Because this also has shit posts that I've tagged for him, which helps with understanding. Um, but one of my wife's OCs is called Merit, who is a wet, wet, wet girl. Just the worst, most awful, like Midwest emo scumbag girl, but like transplanted into a fantasy MMO. Um, and so I'm always, well, and I'm always thinking about Merit because there's so many good. You know how like one of the great OC pastimes is finding a post on social media and just shouting their name and being
Yeah.
like, "That's that person." There's so many Merit posts. Wait, I'll post the Merit post as well. Also, wait, that's the dumbass Tumblr link that you have to be logged in for. I'm gonna do a better one for this one. Um, Also, thank you for loving the comics of them even without context. I feel like a lot of the comics of them are completely incomprehensible if you're not neck deep in true relationship goals is co-op OC making. Co-op OC making is the best thing in the world.
Hmm.
Co-op OC making is my favorite thing to do. It's
It's really
like
good.
when I say that my wife and I like talk about our OCs every single day and usually write a little bit about our OCs almost every single day, like it's one of our primary shared hobbies and it rules. In Necrotech, actually, as well. In a lot of my quests, my wife's OCs show up. And Vittorio, disgusting, scrungy disco vampire who has just showed up, is a Marina original. And so when I see everyone immediately frothing and loving him instantly. I'm like, yeah, well, that's because my wife is a genius.
Aw, that's lovely. I love that. Can we get Natalie Pudim a wife to make OCs with?
Does
Anybody?
anybody have a wife?
Anyone got a
Wife laying
wife
around.
for a spare wife for Natalie Pudim? Let us know. We'll get that. We'll get that sorted out. Um. hmm. Love to volunteer my friends. Anyways. Uh. Hell yeah. Oh god, I'm having antibiotic experiences, but we're vibing. So
We stay silly.
sometimes your body sometimes you take a special medicine to make you feel better, and then it also makes you sick.
Yeah, well, this is it's to maintain balance.
Yeah. Uh I've had a Magic the Gathering OC living in the recess of my mind for years, never named him though. That's sick, Audiovore. I love that. Um love that for you. When I looked up like some of the symptoms I've been having with my antibiotic, I saw people being like, "You should take a probiotic too," and I immediately thought of the post of like, I'm gonna take an antibiotic and a probiotic, and put a dehumidifier and a humidifier in my room and see who wins. Um, and I think that's beautiful.
One of my favorite posts in the same genre is taking NyQuil and DayQuil at the same time to make Quill, and then someone
Yeah,
reblogs it and asks, "What does Quill do?" All the time, all the time.
all the time, all the time. Exactly. So if anybody knows where I can get a medication that's just antibiotic, but it's also probiotic, let me know, and I'll survive forever. Um, OCs are fun. I need to like figure out what making OCs looks like for me outside of writing Sapphic World. Uh, Although maybe I don't. I don't know. It's kind of fun just to have all these little guys that are in Sapphic World, and then I bring them out for certain things. Like I was gonna be in a war game that Wendy was running, but I decided not to play because it was getting too complicated. But I was gonna play Doctor Mindfuck in that, which would have been really fun. Um,
Dr. Mindfuck.
I love her
I love
too.
this. Plastic World is a game full of chock full of OCs. I've said that to you before.
Yeah, I love writing old characters. Um,
I keep them all in a stable, and like a lot of times there's an OC that like I got the concept and then never did anything with them, and then like they're really just laying in wait and waiting for the project. That and Necrotech has become the project where a lot of people are getting pulled out of the stable. Oh, I can find that. Wait, I can find. There's some Yuri. There's some Yuri concept art
oh,
that I had sitting around. Um, that's going to show up in Necrotech. They're not there yet, but let me find my goils.
very cool.
I love show and tell.
I love show and tell as well. It's cool to be in show and tell. Um, I have some like old ass OCs. I have like an old setting that I still haven't used. That maybe technically Warehouse Bitch is in the same setting as it. Maybe one day I'll do something with it because there's some stuff there. Oh, the Yuri. Oh. Oh
I
yeah,
like I like
you
these
guys.
girls.
Yeah, these are good. Uh-huh. Hmm. Really rather cool. Um, I hope they live forever.
I think they will live. I mean, they might die a lot, but they'll still live forever.
Yeah, in our hearts they'll live forever. Oh, very cool. Good for girls.
Good for girls.
It was the best part of pre-grade school. Yeah, I had a lot of OCs from like middle school, elementary school, and then I kind of didn't do anything with them. But also, I mean, I did do something with them. They were my OCs when I was a child, and that was the role.
Exactly.
That was the role they played. They don't need to be part of like a marketable object.
They did their time.
Yeah, they don't need to be quote unquote content.
That's the other thing. It's really good to have OCs that like aren't for anybody else. Like I have a lot of OCs that like some I'll post art of them, but a lot of times I won't talk about them or like really like spend the time like giving, oh, here's all their shit, here's their backstory, here's what the story they're in is like, because it's like, well, I'm playing dolls with my wife. That's for me. That's my business.
It's beautiful. We live in a beautiful world where you can play dolls with your wife. I need to play more dolls with my wife. Although actually, uh, so one day, Lilith was just like, I forget exactly what the context was, but Lilith was just like, "Hey, traps you in a realm, okay?" And then I was like, "That would be really cool. What sort of realm would you put me in?" And then, uh, she started describing the realm, and she was like, "Oh, I really like this. I should do a world building project about this." And then she was just like, "Hey, do you want to do a play by post about this where I trap you in a realm?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so now we're doing a like self insert play by post where I'm in some sort of weird like snowy fairy realm, and I have this fluffy doll body, and it's really fun.
Love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
it's really cute.
My wife and I crack up all the time about like all of our OCs are basically self-inserts. Like they're just different facets. And so, oh, I can find this as well. Um, it'll be tagged Alan Glenn. And so we do this thing where I draw little comics of, because every once in a while I will say a sentence that just makes him bust out laughing because it's exactly what my fucking hag Guild Wars character would say with the same exact inflection. I have a whole collection of, there they are. This one doesn't have the one about Fruit Bowl be gone, but that's okay. This is a whole in chat a bunch of little things of times that it becomes really, really obvious that my Guild Wars OC is just a self-insert because we behave in exactly the same ways.
That's amazing.
It's good. And it makes like every time we ship a pair of OCs, it does feel like a love letter because it's like all the stuff that we like about each other and about our relationship, and it's really fun in that way.
Aw, that's fantastic. Um, Eclipse, I feel like all of your OCs would be perfect for toys like the muscle figures from the 80s. I did just look that up, and I think you're right.
Wait, now I need to look that up.
Yeah, like I feel like all of my OCs could be like action figures on some level.
Oh, I love those.
They're kind of, hang on, let me pull them up just so people know what we're talking about. Muscle figures. I would actually I would use these for like a game. Like I would use these as like minis. They're kind of cool.
I really, really want to chew on them.
Yeah, I like their weird flesh. I like the one. I
Okay, I
like
was
the ones with the
listening in the
extra
car.
arms.
Couldn't chat two things. One, your marriage sounds like some fairy tale shit. Two, clothing damage RPG, you literally never miss. Thank you.
Pretty
Thank you for
cool.
both of those things. My marriage is fairy tale shit. It's really fucking cool. I like it a lot. I like to be married.
Yeah.
And I like my wife.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess people have painted these. That's cool. Anyways, those seem neat. They're based on a manga actually, but they got rebranded for the West. Okay.
There's something really satisfying about how compact they are and how they all occupy the same amount of space, even if the proportions are slightly different. I don't know. I just like to look at them.
Yeah, they're rotund but beautiful. Um, I do any of my girlfriends want to marry me? Anyways, uh, but yeah, cool. Alrighty. Um, what's up? What was I thinking about? Oh yeah, let's get into the next bit. I don't really have like specialized birds for these segments, so we're just gonna kind of go with the normal order. Actually, I guess we'll bring in Apocrypha first, which will be weird because we're not doing news first. We're actually doing we're gonna talk about jams. So Apocrypha is coming in with a beautiful collection of jams for us to peruse. I should get like a jams bird though. That would be cool. I need some like
It
specialized
would be
birds for
cool.
different things. I need a Reddit bird. I don't know what the Reddit bird's gonna look like. We'll figure that out. Um, yeah, I wanted to talk about some cool jams that showed up recently. Um, that I'm pretty sure that these are all ones that I'm submitting to or have submitted to. Although I think one of them is already over. Yes, Tiny World RPG Jam is already over, but I do want to look at the submissions. So, first of all, we have Tiny World TTRPG Jam by Kenna S. And Vidya Valetti. Um, cool stuff. Uh, Basically make a short TTRPG micro setting. Did I actually follow the rules on this? I'm realizing that I might have not followed the rules when I made what do you call it? Destroyed Valley 2. I think Destroyed Valley 2 might be slightly longer than 8 pages.
Destroyed Valley 2 is a really, really good name.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my submission for this. It is 12 pages, but we're gonna ignore that and we're gonna pretend that it is 8 pages. Um, Small, easy, and fun to make. So very, very, very lightweight like stuff. They also had some fun challenges like 8-page single sheet microzine. Keep your micro setting to a single room. Include at least 3 plot hooks. Use only public domain art, which I did actually do. Make your supplement slash zine slash booklet diegetic, which is pretty fun. Make a setting
That is a cool
collaboratively.
one.
Yeah, play a world building game and make your micro setting based on that world.
I could have done that because I've made a world building game. I have a
Oh,
world building game.
there's a lot of stuff here. There's some cool stuff. I recommend folks look through here. Um, I might just highlight my friend's stuff because I don't know all these.
Oh, this all does look really cool.
Yeah. So I'm gonna highlight just because I know them. Smiles normal. Listen. Uh, I want to gesture towards Rufflejax's jargon. Jaxermon is really cool and has been exploring like a bunch of really neat empty spaces stuff, which has been like interesting to see a queer like cis artist do because it's been a space so populated by like trans women. For good reason, I think, but also like it's cool seeing her explore that and explore like her relationship to those themes. Um, Especially because like she's such a big like LARP artist or LARP designer.
Mhm.
I'm gonna gesture towards Void Mountain Call Center by I Feel Odd. Another work of a friend, and I'm also gonna look through these and see if there's anything that I think I'd really like to hit on here. And in terms of things that I know are in here, wait, did Ossuary? Natalie, did you submit Ossuary to this? I could have sworn that you did.
Natalie says in chat no because it was 12 pages,
Oh, you're much smarter than I am. Well,
and thus you have been put to shame for your wiggliness around rules.
yeah, I broke the rules. They still let me in though, because I have a little bit of swag. Uh, Let me see if there's anything in here that I recognize and would like to gesture for folks to look at. I mean, generally, folks should just like peruse these because it's some cool stuff. Uh, but I will look if there's anything that I absolutely know. Da, 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 da. I probably should have looked through this before stream, but that's okay. It's also just a good chance to like show all these beautiful covers.
Yeah, it's a good spread.
Yeah. Um. Yeah.
Ooh, and I like Enter Him, Love Him, a short world building game about exploring a dungeon slash human body.
That's another one that I know. I also
You
know the
really?
person who made
Oh,
that. Yep.
jellyfish lines.
Yeah. This is also a cool one though. I quite like this one, so I will nonetheless also direct this. And also, folks should Jellyfish Lines is doing a reverse sale. Folks should buy that. It's like $40, and it gives you all of Jelly's games. Not necessarily cheap, but convenient. Um,
I love that reverse sales are a thing that you can do on itch. I think that's fun.
Yeah. Oh, I also saw this Afira new employee welcome sheet, which looked cool. It's like the it's a handout that details like a tiny little spaceship room, like quarters basically. Um,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, and it's free, so folks should give that a look. Um, seems fun. I imagine you could do some fun stuff with this in
Games are so
play.
cool.
Games are so cool. Um, speaking of games are cool, Fix Your Hearts or Die Jam, which is by Jellyfish Lines. You might notice that I only listen. I only know the people I know, and so sometimes things kind of wrap into themselves. Um, so smiles. Uh, but this was a jam made with the passing of David Lynch. Um, basically, just make something nasty, uh, which you know. And this is also currently ongoing. It's going for about a week. Uh, oh hey, I know this. Who's this? Who's this person? Huh, that's strange. Yeah, I made a game for this. Don't test my love. Uh, Jellyfish
I see
also
that
made.
someone else has also made a rabbits game, which my first thought when I saw this was, ooh, can I make a rabbits game in a week? Maybe
Oh,
I will.
true. Yeah, there is a rabbits game. Folks should give that a look. I still need to watch more David Lynch stuff. Because I know Melodyverse. My friend Melodyverse really likes rabbits. Um, oh, I'm being asked a question about Sapphic World. I'm just gonna really quickly answer it because it sounds like
Yeah,
there's an active
absolutely.
disagreement happening about it. um, is the uh, table is the subset. Okay. I there's some stuff that needs to be cleared up in the book. Smiles. But that's okay. But yeah. This stuff looks cool. And then I'm here's what we're gonna do. I think I can show this. I think this is fine. Uh, Titty RPG Jam, by Titanomachy RPG, which is sick as hell. I really want to get my game done for this because like, what type of person who makes the sort of work that I am that I do would I be if I didn't do that game for this?
Right, like you got to be there.
Yeah, a lot of cool like resources in here, like SRDs, which I think is neat. A neat thing to put at the bottom of your thing. Um,
I noticed that your cool blog post that has a
oh
title that we
yeah.
can't say on twitch.tv is linked there. I saw that and I was like, hell yeah.
Ooh, yeah, true. I'm happy to be acknowledged in that regard. Um, some cool stuff in here. Uh, honestly, all of this just looks awesome. I mean, I've read some of these. Like, Digital Angel by Sandro is really good. Folks should read that. Like, genuinely kind of uh, has a visual style that's like kind of out of this world in a real way, and I think folks should like give Sandro their flowers for it. I think it's really cool. Um, Praise the Hawkmoth King. I think I've talked about before. I don't know if I've talked about it on the show, but like Sage is really cool. Sage is like doing some really neat stuff with that, and I think folks should give that a look. Um, so I will also put that in here. Um, oh, I have not read I'm a Trans Man and I'm Here to Fuck, Trans Bodies Are Sexy by Breathing Stories and MAL and Rookery Games, but that that's oh, this was for the Trans Fucking Rage Jam. Okay. So this was just okay, that's cool though. You should give this a look. Nonetheless, because Logan is very cool and also like uh it's cool to see trans oriented stuff in that regard. I've already shown jargon, so I won't do archetype, but folks should go support archetype. um And then just in terms of like, is airship on? Ooh, okay. Clam slut butch. I need to read these.
Everything looks good, and I should, you know what? Because the other thing is, I think it would be cool to have a jam bird because there's always jams going on, and I also need to
Yeah.
be better about like checking regularly to see what because jams really kickstart stuff for me. Anytime I've gotten a game done real fucking quick, it's been for a jam.
Yeah, I'm also gonna direct folks towards Natalie Pedum's Honey Hate, which I think is just a really fun, really fun, really bleak concept for a game, and also Natalie's my friend. Uh, you'll notice a pattern here. Um, but yeah, some cool jams. Do you have anything that you feel like I've missed here?
Uh no, I'm just really excited to have looked at the submission pages and have so much stuff to look at.
Yeah, me too.
I'm gonna be digging into a bunch of these.
These are some cool ones. Did I? Let me just make sure. So this is the Titty RPG Jam. This is the Fixed Hearts or Die Jam. Give those a look. And also, if you haven't yet, submit for those. Titty RPGs until March 15th. Fixed Hearts or Die is until February 24th. So you don't have much time for this one. You have more time for this one. Um, I've been working on my game, A Stranger's Just a Friend, for Titty RPG Jam, which is, you are it is a troffication game, but it doesn't use the like uh it's a troffication game, but it's not a troffication game in the same way that Dragotroffication is, where it's like a parody of biotroffication. Um,
Hmm.
it's a game where you're playing as one person is playing as P. Aravander, a trans man, a scholar of eschatology from Madrid, who has fled to Vermont after being involved in the death of a like Spanish priest's dog, um, and you're being hunted by a like a huge uh, like mythical Celtic Dullahan who like is basically just like making a living these days. Like used to be the hunter of the of the the cruel and the wicked, and now like ever since the like the Catholic Church like got its mitts into Ireland, like basically doesn't have a lot of those powers and is kind of just a guy who has to like make a living by bounty hunting. um and you might one of you might die about it, or you might fuck about it. It's really up to you. So that's my pitch for my fun
Completely
game.
obsessed with everything that was said there. That's really
Thank
good.
you. I'm very excited to make it. I think it's gonna be fun. Alrighty. Um, how do we feel about taking a 5 minute break and then going into the news?
That sounds good to me.
Hell yeah. Alright, we'll be back at 56. See you all then. And that's why I think that that really controversial opinion that I just said.
I agree with all of it with absolutely no nuance whatsoever.
Yeah. Uh, hell yeah. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. We took a break, and we're gonna get back into it. We're gonna hit the news. Cordis the Newsbird coming in from a like a Final Fantasy ass like crystal island where there's like a big crystal that they have to protect.
I love a big crystal that we have to protect.
It's really important that you protect the crystal because otherwise his armies will sweep the land, and no one wants that to happen.
No.
Um,
Me, guy who kind of wants his dark armies to sweep the land, but like I'm trying to be casual about it.
yeah, listen, it would be like it, there's something here of like a Trophication game that's about like the Dark Lord winning, um, and like yeah, like it does kind of suck that like I'm now the Dark Lord's plaything, but also like you know it's better than like being a Knight of the Kingdom, honestly.
Perks. There's dark perks.
Yeah, like I don't have to pay for pie anymore. He just like gives me pie. It's pretty cool.
That would be enough for me. That would clinch it.
Yeah, he feeds you and like gives you cute clothes, and that's it. And it's good. It's a good relationship. If you don't protect the crystal, who will? I don't know. All the other heroes. I'm going home. Contact me when it's a fucking emergency. Honestly, the Dark Union has a surprising amount of power. They give you your dark healthcare health insurance card. Um, you get a dark deferred like deferred retirement savings plan.
I love
Fighting.
my dark guaranteed 20 days holiday, paid holiday.
I love my dark like 8 hours cancer screening per year. Um, yeah. Uh uh uh. There's a stupid joke that I can make about like speaking of the Dark Lord winning, but I feel like I don't actually feel that way about this. Um, but it is funny. We're gonna talk about oh thinking about the Dimension 20 actual play show where they played as the lieutenants of the Dark Lord after he died suddenly, and they have to pretend everything is still fine. Yeah, that's a good. I really like that one. That's a good series. Dark maternity leave. I'm not physically capable of needing it, but it's nice to know. That's what you think until the Dark Lord discovers the Dark Crystal, and yeah, no, that's true. Anyways, wait, if you don't fuck the crystal, who? Okay.
Somebody's gonna fuck the crystal.
Somebody
You don't
fuck
gotta
the
worry about
crystal.
that.
Speaking of crystals, Steve Jackson games. There we go. That's
Good
pretty good.
segue. That was
Um,
really good.
so we're gonna I want to talk a bit about Steve Jackson games or Possum Creek Games joining Steve Jackson Games as an imprint. Da, 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 known for Wanderhome, Museum's Bed and Breakfast, all those other games. Um, Possum Creek is going to be lending their talents to the Steve Jackson Games design visual branding team, or not team, just the design and visual branding. And Jay Dragon will be joining the board of directors, become the lead game designer. Ruby Lavin will become the art director. Um, and yeah, it appears that like Possum Creek is going to continue making games in their in the capacity that they have been. Just Jay and Ruby are going to be employed full time, which I think is great as someone who like is friends with Jay Dragon. Which speaking of like speaking of biases, this is why like I don't describe this show as like a hard journalism show. Like I'm not doing news because I am like in this industry in in a real way. But I am very happy for them, and I'm really excited to see like what they wind up doing with this. And Jay also had a thread about how this will work, what this will look like, which is basically what I described. Um, it is very funny that Jay's been working at Steve Jackson Games since October. Like these things move very slowly, um, and this was basically related to not related to, but this is fixing some issues around Possum Creek having to or not being able to like properly stock and send their games, and also they're finishing up the Grand Guignol and Harvest crowdfunder, and basically getting their shit together, which is great. Good for them. Um, it is interesting on like an industry level,
Mhm.
because I think it's like I think for a lot of people like trying to make stuff at the scale that like Possum Creek makes things. Possum Creek for the longest time has kind of been like, oh yeah, like you can do that. Like that is a thing that is like financially and creatively viable, and it's like, hey bitch, no, actually it's probably not in this economy. Um, and you probably need to become an imprint of something else, or like scale down or rescale in some way. Um, which is interesting. I mean, there are a lot of different cases, right? But like, I do
Right.
think it's
And
interesting.
and there is the case of they did still do a shitload of stuff before it got to the point where it was like, hey, we need a little outside shoring up here. I'm bringing a fresh and sexy and new perspective to this in that I have no idea what Steve Jackson Games is. I'm not familiar. Um, but when I read Jay's thread about it, and there was the bit about, hey, it's great to be able to just focus on doing the writing
Hmm.
and doing the work and not have to worry about the running a small business part of it. Like that resonated immediately because all of the other administrative shit that you have to do as a completely independent freelancer drives me fucking nuts. It
Hmm.
drives me nuts. I do so little drawing as a full-time artist because everything else is fucking emails and PDFs and accounting. And so seeing that part of it is gonna be eased and that there's gonna be more time for like doing the actual shit, I'm like, hell yeah, that's good for everybody.
Yeah. Steve Jackson Games made GURPS. I I have that sound from a thing that I didn't wind up doing. But so I just remember that it has a GURP sound in it. Uh,
That all up for me.
I used to play their game books as a kid. I do really like. I know that you mean Steve Jackson Games. Yeah, yeah, Steve Jackson Game. I was like, who who is young enough? Like, I'm trying to think of when did like Sleepaway release? Because I'm trying to imagine a person who's like, yeah, I loved J Dragon's games when I was a kid. Uh,
The immediate panic of like, you need to not be watching this stream right now.
yeah, uh, yeah. Part of the problem. Okay, 2019 was Sleepaway. Um, that was the Sleepaway Kickstarter, so it probably wasn't out until about like 2020. So,
Has it really only been that? Sh- I feel like Possum Creek Games has existed forever and ever and ever and ever. Like I
me
know that it
too.
hasn't, but
Yeah. No, it really does feel that way. It feels like Possum Creek has existed for like 10 years. Um, I think it's just because it's like it's existed for very different phases of my life. Is
it's existed the whole time I've been in tabletop games. I think that's why it feels eternal to me.
so I'm seeing sorcery being mentioned, and I'm not sure if that's the same Steve Jackson. I think there are two Steve Jacksons. Because I think Steve Jackson's sorcery is a different Steve Jackson, right? Yes. Yes. Steve Jackson, American game designer. Steve Jackson born 1953 versus Steve Jackson born 1951. 1951 is sorcery, 1953 is GURPS and Munchkin.
One of them is the evil one,
Yeah.
and one day they're gonna fight.
The one that Jay is working with is 1953, the American one. Uh, the one who made Munchkin, and GURPS. The two Steve Jacksons. Jackson. I'm looking at Wikipedia. Jackson is often mistaken for Steve Jackson, a British gamebook and video game writer who co-founded Games Workshop. The confusion is exacerbated by the fact that while the UK Jackson was co-creator of the Fighting Fantasy gamebook series, the US Jackson also wrote 3 books in the series: Scorpion Swamp, Demons of the Deep, and Robot Commando. And the books did not acknowledge that this was a different Steve Jackson.
That's so fucking funny.
Incredibly funny. Hi, House of Dreams. I hope you're doing well. Hector, aka Akami here. Haven't y'all been doing like a cool Wanderhome AP? Tell folks House of Dreams if you're like listening. Tell folks about your Wanderhome AP. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it, but I I keep an ear to the ground. And I'm pretty sure you've been playing Wanderhome on your channel. Well, I played both of their stuff. I did. Yeah, they're different guys. I think the one
You are the most incredible pervert.
Thank you for the follow, Crow. I think the one vague intersection that I've had with Steve Jackson, is... This is a really embarrassing story. I won't say what the organization was, but there was an organization that was doing interviews at... This is a story that makes me look really bad, but I'll tell it anyways. So, they were doing interviews at Big Bad Con, and someone was like, "Hey, Steve Jackson's here, like American Steve Jackson," and the person who was like, putting the interviews together was like, yeah, let's get Steve Jackson. Like, I'll interview anyone at this point, and I was nearby, and listen, I I've learned, if I've learned one thing in TTRPGs, it's like you kind of have to just like shoot your shot when possible. So I came over and I was like, "Hey, my name's Eclipse. I've heard that you're interviewing people. Perhaps even interviewing anyone. Like sometimes you're really awkward and have autism. Like you decide that you should say like what do you call it? Repeat someone's words to them. And that was not a good idea. And they were like, "I don't know you." And it was really awkward. As I said, a story that's not make me look very good. But it was funny, and also, one day they will.
Yeah, one day they'll all be sorry. No, but I don't think that's a story that makes you look bad. I think that that's fantastic in what you have to do, and I wish I was better at doing that.
Yeah, you do kind of have to do it sometimes.
You gotta do it. I don't want to do it.
I will say, if anyone ever, like, if I say some shit and, like, you come up to me and you're like, "Hey, did you just say this?" I will, like, I'll own up to it. Like, I'm not the sort of person who's gonna do that. Except if like you're someone who I don't like, and I've made it clear that I don't like you. But that's like a whole other thing, and there really aren't that many people where it's like that. But yeah, yeah. Autism makes things really hard, and can make social interactions and trying to like network especially be really awkward. But sometimes having like good friends in those sorts of environments is really useful. Like shouts out to Jesselvine especially, who at Big Bad Con was like an extreme, like was constantly vouching for me, and like helping like hook me up with people. That was very nice of her. Series showcases the hell yeah. Well, I hope folks should check out that Wanderhome AP that House of Dreams is doing. That sounds sick. On Sundays. But yeah, we've kind of gone through everything that we have. I mean, I guess we are rounding on an hour and a half. I don't know. Do you have anything that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about on the show?
Let me think. No, I mean, well, the main thing that I'm working on right now is the Clothing Damage Knights game, which is called Kudaros, and which I am very excited about. And that is going to be coming out. And it's about, you do violence to each other and knock off pieces of your armor, and then are reminded that the person that you were trying to kill with implements is a human person underneath that. And maybe you get horny about it. And maybe you kill them anyway.
Really
What else am I working on? That's pretty much the main one. My other stuff has been very back burner because, you get to the point where you're like, dog, I gotta get through the month. Like, I'm not gonna make a bunch of promises to myself about a game I haven't touched say, oh yeah, Mortasheen. Let me find where did I think I've posted that on Tumblr. It might be really hard for me to find because it was a while ago and I'm not good at digging things up. When was that? Gutsy, do you remember like what month and year that was?
Oh, it is. Sorry, I'm just looking at like what I can rate.
You did. I thought we emailed. I don't know where it is. You know what? My New Year's resolution has to be is fixing my files. Because my files are arranged in such a completely deranged way. I posted it. Okay, wait. If I search my email for Mortasheen. No, not that email. I hate having 3 emails. What else is going on? I don't know. I guess the other thing that I am thinking about is I do really want to make a rabbits game for the David Lynch.
Oh yeah.
I bet I can figure out rabbits.
Yeah, rabbits can be done.
Why are none of these?
Do you have any hopes for the future?
Here. Hopes for the future. Yeah, my hope for the future genuinely are to get more and more and more and more chill until I don't even worry about whether or not I've been making stuff recently. Like to the point where it doesn't even have to have the giggly caveat that has, I think, been a little bit present throughout this interview where I've been like, but it's fine, strained. Like, that's, I think, can I just send this Google Drive link and will people be able to see this image? I think so.
Probably.
Here's tabletop art that I did.
Let me see here.
Oh, that sent, I guess, all of it. They sent the whole folder, which is fine because it's just that this is something I did for Mortasheen, which is, is it? Oh my God, what's the username? I should know this. What's the username of the Mortasheen person? Bugs? Something Bugs?
Oh,
Bug guy.
It's Jonathan Wojcik. What's and who's that? Bogleach.
Bogleach. That's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah, Bogleach is awesome. That's a cool.
Oh yeah, that's some art that I did for. It's really fun when I get to do some like gross stuff. I like to draw some goopy girls.
Yeah, I love the goop here. This is goopful and very cool.
Yeah. I should draw more goopful things. I should put a goop girl in Necrotech.
Get gooped.
Get gooped.
Hell yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope to see you next week. Who do I have on next week? Probably someone exciting. We're actually the next couple. Ooh, fucking Kavita, who made Songs for the Dusk. That's gonna be a cool one. And then we have some repeats, and we also have March and February are gonna be are very cool and very good. I'm very glad to have you on and a bunch of other really cool people on. Hell yeah.
Thank you. I've had a good time every time I've done this, so.
Yay.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night. Hope to have you on again next year. Bye, everybody.
Absolutely.
We're gonna raid Casey. Go say hi to Casey. Bye.
Remember, if you don't like what you see, you can change it. It's up to you, really. Goodbye, good luck, and have fun!